has been CBS 46 meteorologist Jennifer Valdez. Jennifer.
Talk Radio 640 WTST.
Tech Tuesday on the Dana Barrett Show.
So when you hear the word blockchain, do you nod and smile and act like you know what's going on? Or do you actually know what's going on? I feel like for most people, it's the former, including myself. But we've got an expert in the house. Rup Singh is here, founder of Intuit Factory. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me, Dana. This is exciting.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm like only half kidding. When I hear blockchain, my mind sort of goes on the fray a little bit. And I feel like a lot of people have heard the word.
Right.
And we know it mostly because of Bitcoin. Everybody knows, I think, even people who aren't in technology or any of that sort of know that blockchain underlies Bitcoin.
That's
or that
right.
they're somehow related. And that might be where the education ends for a lot of folks.
Oh, come on. You know everything, Dana.
I know it. Well, that's true. Depending on who you ask. Listen, part of, I think, what a lot of the next level of understanding is that blockchain somehow is distributed, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So the other thing I think we keep hearing from a business perspective, Rup, is that this is not really just about Bitcoin anymore, but that blockchain is going to have an impact across a lot of different industries.
Absolutely.
So let's just get right into that. First of all, what is it at the highest level and how is it going to impact other industries?
Right. I mean, that's a longer conversation, but let's try to get to the meat of it. So my statement is blockchain and Bitcoin, they have linked trajectories but distinct destinies. Obviously, Bitcoin was the first implementation of what we now call as blockchain, which is essentially distributed ledger plus encryption in very simplest terms.
Okay, distributed ledger plus encryption. So the difference being in the old way, in the current way for a lot of folks, you have all your data sitting in one place.
That's right.
So if there's a hacker or, the system, somebody pulls the plug or it catches fire or whatever else, there goes all your data.
That's exactly right.
But with it being distributed on servers all over the place, that is less likely or impossible to happen?
Right. So let's say even if it happens, only a part of the data is compromised. And furthermore, it is encrypted, so the hacker may not even understand what was on it.
Okay.
Now, going beyond into the blockchain, if you get deeper, you'll start understanding that there are a lot of game theoretical concepts that it's based on.
Okay.
And it is much harder to tamper with or to tackle, at least with the current computing power that we have in the world today. Now, if you start talking about quantum computing and things of that nature, all bets are off, and that's a different world we'll live in.
Rup Singh hanging out with us today on the show, founder of Intuit Factory, and we're talking about blockchain, trying to blow your mind. So listen, the whole idea that it's distributed and encrypted, I get. But can it be used to replace any database for any industry?
Right. So think about it in this terms. Anything we see in the physical world today can be digitized and make into a digital asset now. So we had a wave of internet where we could distribute information easily. We could replicate and share the information. Now we're getting to the next evolution of the internet, which is where we can digitize all physical assets and create a network of value, not just a network of information, which is what the internet was.
Okay.
So let's take a very interesting example.
Okay.
You've been doing this a while and you have a lot of content.
That's true.
Do you get paid for that content today, apart from actually having subscribers and sponsors?
Let's pretend that I do.
So imagine that we took all of your content and we put it on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And then there can two things that'll happen. One is that you will get credit for the content that you have. As an artist, you've produced this content.
Okay.
And secondly, whenever the content is distributed anywhere, you should get theoretically royalties from it, or you should be able to make more with your content, given that you can grow a community around it.
Okay.
So that's happening today on a blockchain network called Steemit, just as an example.
Interesting.
So I suggest that you put all your content on Steemit.
Okay, Nick, get on that right away.
Note taken.
So wait, let me ask you though about stuff that we, when we think about things getting hacked and the things that people are most concerned about is perhaps financial data. So can blockchain be used in that world to protect our financial data?
Absolutely, and there's a lot of companies that are working on that side of the application. So just to take some use cases, if you know the recent compromise, if you will, of Facebook identity data, or
Sure.
our identity data on Facebook.
Yeah.
And let's go a little bit back on the hack at Home Depot, and then even further back, there were hacks at Target, and even of the federal government, where a lot of the federal government employees' medical information was compromised.
That's right.
So all of these stem from a basic model that we store data in a central place, and a central authority is in charge of it. So that becomes one point of failure. Whereas if you distribute it, literally spread it, break that element into a million pieces and spread it across and encrypt it, your likelihood of getting tampered with goes much lower. And even if it does, people don't have access to the entire set of data.
All right. So let me ask you a couple questions here. First of all, is the programming community up on this? Like, can all programmers who are used to programming in sort of the old world just switch gears and program for blockchain now? Or do they need to learn a whole new set of skills? Or how does that part work?
Right. So definitely it came from the cryptography community, the programmer community, and we are now almost coming to the second wave of this evolution. There is so much excitement. There is so much interest. And to answer your second question, I think it's a different way of thinking about programming itself. So you kind of have to shift your mode into a more distributed way of thinking, and also understand what are the business implications of it. What is the business impact that we can have using this technology, and that's where the learning comes in place.
Well, and that was the next question, and that is, so it's one thing for the tech folk to understand it, but it's a whole other thing for the business owners and even the CIO level folks to sort of figure out what they need to know,
right,
and the kinds of tools they need to be buying, and when is the right time, and what does conversion look like from an old system to a new blockchain-based system, and some of those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
So that's something you're about to get to with a boot camp, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it very well. So the boot camp is geared towards senior executives and seasoned entrepreneurs, so CIOs, CTOs, VP of digital strategy, or even venture capitalists. And if you talk about timing, this movement has been going on for a while. You know, a lot of people say, oh, we're still new into this. We are, but it's kind of been going on for the last 6-7 years. So if you look at the names, you know, Citigroup, Visa, UPS, American Express, BNY Mellon, Capital One, PNC, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, UBS, Barclay, Daimler, Volkswagen, Renault, Toyota, BMW, Spotify, all have invested in this. So it's not something that's so nascent anymore. I think it's coming out in the open. And that's where we designed the boot camp, to help these people understand the implications of this fundamental, groundbreaking, foundational technology, and then also understand what are the different business areas, business use cases that can be utilized for.
Okay, so this is actually called Blockchain Strategy Bootcamp. It's coming up, June 15th? Is that right?
That's right, and we designed this with in partnership with Robinson College of Business at Georgia State University.
Yep.
And this is first of its kind in-person bootcamp that's being offered on blockchain strategy. So it's about 25% technology basics, and then about 25% disruption and innovation models, and then the rest 50% is really enterprise use cases of blockchain, business strategy, tokenization, digital identity, and then eventually towards the end of the program we will design business models, and you may even discover new business ventures based on blockchain and smart contract technologies.
Okay, and so is it a one-day boot camp?
It's a 4-day boot camp, very extensive.
Okay.
12 plus 1 bonus 13 modules, and it's a certificate program. So once you graduate from it, you get a certificate in blockchain strategy from the Robinson College of Business. And it sort of solidified a lot of the ground that Robinson College of Business has already covered in this space. They have 2 courses running in this space. They have a fintech lab where they do a lot of experimentations with cryptocurrencies, etc. So the timing is right just to explore this in a much bigger way.
And you still have space for a few more people to get in on it, yes?
We might be able to do that.
You could squeeze in a few more people. All right. Well, we'll post a link to it on our show notes page so that anybody else who wants to register and try not to have their minds blown can go. Roop Singh, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate it. Again, it is Blockchain Strategy Bootcamp, and Roop is the founder of Intuit Factory, and this is the Dana Barrett Show, and we'll be back.
Thank you, Dana.
More Dana Barrett Show coming up on Talk Radio 640 WGST.
And now it's time for your